talking with the experts.
Hello and welcome to Talking with the Experts. My name's Rose Davidson from rosedavidson.com, and Talking with the Experts is about all things business by business owners for business owners. And you can find it on all good podcasting streaming platforms and on YouTube. And today it is my pleasure to introduce you to Jyotsna, and we're going to be talking about publishing for small business. And her journey towards freedom began when she decided to never be an employee ever again. She tried out various businesses to support her decision. She started a staff recruitment agency, became a franchisee of a chocolate brand, and did freelance web designing. With the arrival of her daughter, that was the turning point in her life. And she realised during her maternity break that none of her businesses were generating income if she was not actively working inside the business. So she was actually self-employed and she was not a business owner, and she had not built in the right systems to automate her businesses. So she understood that in order to enjoy true freedom, she needed to create a passive income. So we're going to be talking a little bit about those and at the moment. And she runs a book publishing company called Happy Self Publishing. So hopefully I'll get some hints and tips. So for when I write my book during the year, for whatever's left, and she can help me with getting myself published. Hello and welcome. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you so much, Rose, for having me on the show.
Yeah, so tell me a little bit about the two businesses that you had prior to your publishing business.
Well, yes, I was having, I think, about 3 or 4 different businesses. But the first one that I actually started was a staff recruitment agency because I did not have to invest much. I had just quit my job and I was looking for different options to become an entrepreneur. And this felt very easy because I already had a good network in the industry I was working in, which was the retail industry in India. So I started that. It ran well for 2 years. That's when my daughter was born. And that changed everything for me because I had to spend more time at home. I couldn't run around, attend these meetings or have too many phone calls. So that's when I realized that probably this business would not suit my new lifestyle. So I was in a hurry to try a bunch of different things. That's when I did this web designing and chocolate making and all of that. And then I stumbled upon this idea of publishing books online using Amazon as a platform. Back then, about 7 years ago, I was just Googling how to make money online. And a lot of people were talking about Kindle publishing and Amazon publishing. And that really intrigued me. So I went ahead and learned from a lot of experts in countries like the US and Canada, because they were doing this for quite some time. And that was my first step into this world of publishing, where I started publishing ghostwritten books written by writers whom I had hired on online platforms. I would just choose the topics. We would put together these short ebooks, and every week I would publish a couple of them. So within a few months, I had about 50 titles on Amazon, and that was giving me enough royalties. That was the passive income part I was talking about, which helped me to completely focus on my online business. And I also decided to shut down my other businesses so that I could focus on this.
Wow, that's an interesting journey, isn't it? What did you do before you started the staff recruitment business?
Well, I did my MBA in retail management, and I was working first as a trainee in a retail store, then moved on to become a department manager, store manager, and an area manager in a few fashion retail brands in India. So my background is totally different, have no connection with the publishing business. But the first time I really felt confident, Rose, when I wrote my first book, Job Escape Plan, because till then, for the first 6 months, I was just publishing these ghostwritten books. So I really did not know anything about those topics, but they were just good ways to make some money on the side. But when I finally decided that, okay, probably there are some people who needed to hear my message, because I still saw a lot of people who were struggling in the jobs that they didn't like. So I thought that I'm not a super successful entrepreneur, but at least I successfully managed to quit my job and was doing something on my own for 2-3 years. That gave me the confidence to write my book, Job Escape Plan. And after that, everything started to change for me, Rose, because that was the first time where I was authentically sharing my message. And a lot of people took notice of that. And many people started interviewing me. And in many of those interviews, I got a lot of people asking me, how can I help them publish their books? That was like an aha moment for me, because I felt that it was not just me. There are so many people with bigger and better things to share, and they have all this knowledge and experience, but they did not know how to package it into a book and how to publish it and make it a bestseller. I luckily had all that knowledge because of my experience that I had. So I thought, why not create this as a service for aspiring authors? And that's how Happy Self Publishing was born.
Wow, that's really great. Now, how does one become a published author? You know, walk me through the steps that it takes, other than having to write your book, of course.
Sure. So, yeah, if you have to start from the very beginning, then I think the ones who actually become published authors have a very strong why. They have a reason to become an author, because usually becoming an author is on most people's bucket list. When you ask them, everybody says, yeah, one day I would like to write a book, but it's just an item on their wish list. It's not a priority for them. So I see that a lot of entrepreneurs really understand the reason to write a book, because it helps them position themselves as an expert in their industry and stand out from their competitors and really amplify their brand's message. And that can be a strong why for an entrepreneur. So having that clarity on why you want to write a book can be a very, very important first step. After that comes picking the right topic for your book. So that's the next step, where, because you could write your book on 10 different things, because of your experience, you can talk about a variety of things, but which should be that one profitable topic? That can be the next step, choosing the topic. And then comes the difficult part that you said of writing the book. Now I have two options here for aspiring authors. If you love writing, if you've probably written blogs and you've enjoyed that process and you want to write your book on your own, please do it, because it's a very, very fulfilling process. But just make sure you have some systems and checks in place, like, for example, deciding the launch date of your book so that you can work backwards and know how many days you have to write. And then probably having a writing tracker every day so that you know how many words you're supposed to be writing and are you doing it or not. So it's a nice way to check, keep yourself on track. And then creating a designated space and a routine to write every day. It doesn't take more than 1 hour of time every day. If you're able to write for 30 to 60 days, you can have a nice 200-page book written. So that's another tip for authors who are writing. And then comes the accountability. Please don't keep this as a secret to yourself. Let the world know that you're writing your book. Put out your book's cover. Have an accountability partner or work with a book coach, and build that system of accountability around you so that you finish writing your book. So this is one option for people who want to write. But there are also a whole lot of other people who do not enjoy writing or are too busy running the most important aspects of their business. Or maybe they're just too busy with their family, or maybe they're dyslexic and even if they want to write, they can't. Like my husband is a classic example of this. He could not write his book on his own. And I experimented this with him as a guinea pig and it worked. So what I did was I helped him outline the book after choosing his book's topic. And now we had a clear set of 10 chapters that were supposed to be written. And then I made him sit on a couch and I started interviewing him like a celebrity, like how you're just asking me questions and I'm just jabbering. That's exactly what he was doing. I just asked him the relevant questions and he went on and on because he loves this topic so much. He's a relationship coach and his book was about having a happy marriage. So he kept answering. I recorded all that conversation. I listened back to it several times and I wrote the book for him. So I kind of became his angel writer because I'm not a ghostwriter where I did not go and do my research for the book. He's the expert. It is his message and his knowledge, but I just helped him to take it out of his mind and put it on the computer. So once his book went on and started selling well and his business began to pick up, I thought, wow, this can actually be a viable solution for a lot of busy entrepreneurs. So that's the second option I want to give to entrepreneurs. If you don't want to write it yourself or you've given it a try and it has not worked, please work with an angel writer and they can help you put together the manuscript. So that's the stage, that's the pre-publishing stage that we have reached so far. Would you like me to continue, Rose?
Oh, please do, yes.
Sure. Once you've got the manuscript or the rough draft, then comes the publishing phase where you need some essential things to make it look professional. I see a lot of authors make this mistake of trying to do everything themselves. I love self-publishing. I'm a huge advocate of that. But just because you're self-publishing your book, it doesn't mean that you should do everything yourself. like the cover design and the editing. People tend to go to canva.com and do their own book cover. Now, if you're not a professional designer, please don't do that, because people will know that you've self-published it and you don't want it to look like that, right? I feel it's your duty to make it look like a New York Times bestseller. Whether it becomes a bestseller or not is a secondary thing, but you can at least get things done professionally. So there are, I would say, three important essential elements in the publishing phase. The first thing is the book cover design. And you don't have to wait till you finish your manuscript. You can, as soon as you decide your book's title and subtitle, you can work with a book cover designer and get it done. And again, I stress on the word book cover designer, because there are all types of designers. People who design websites, people who design logos, they're all designers, but a book cover designer specializes in that and can help your book stand out in the crowded, Amazon web page. So that's really important. Once a book cover is done and your manuscript is written, then it needs to go through editing. This is another mistake people make. They feel that, hey, my English is already great. I will just ask my cousin who's an English teacher to go through it once. So that's probably not enough, because however good a book is, it has the potential to become better, and a professional editor will be able to do that. Now, at Happy Self-Publishing, we recommend 4 rounds of editing. So the first round is the content editing, where you want the editor to read the book like your reader and give you some content level feedback, whether there is a good flow between chapters, whether it's interesting enough to grab the attention of the reader. Is there some content missing that you probably felt that it's understood, but the reader is not able to understand? So these are the content level inputs your editor will give in the first round. You can take those inputs and rework on your manuscript and submit it back to the editor. And then comes the second round, which is the copy editing. And in this phase, you can expect the editor to give you a lot of suggestions on improving the sentence structure and the vocabulary. So this is where they're going to look at your language, not in the first round. So their suggestions are, again, just suggestions. It's ultimately the author's book, and they have the right to accept or decline the changes. And once that is done, then comes the proofreading. So whatever has got missed out so far in terms of the spell checks, the grammar, punctuation, all those things are polished, and you have your clean manuscript. And then it moves to now we have the 4th round of editing left. I'll talk about it in a second. But then it moves to the interior designer. Your interior designer, or the formatter, is this magician who will take your Word document and convert it into a good looking book. So they will do the interior design of how the chapter should start, how should the bullet points look like, where should your images be, and all those minute details are taken care of in the interior design stage. And they should also format it for multiple formats, like the ebook, the paperback, if you're doing the hardcover. So they should format it to suit the multiple formats and give you the files. And then you go back to your editor and ask them to do one more final round of proofreading. Because in my experience, I've seen that your editor would have done a great job and your formatter would have done a great job, but then somewhere in between, the words would get stuck together, and it's nobody's fault, right? So it's important that you do one more round of proofreading after the book is formatted. So now you have all the files ready, the cover design files, the formatted files, and then it's just simple. Open an account in Amazon. As a first-time author, I would suggest you to first really get all the marketing done inside Amazon, because they are the biggest marketplace. And then you can always have your book available in other distribution platforms as well. So opening an account in kdp.amazon.com is pretty simple. KDP is Kindle Direct Publishing. That is the backend website of Amazon to help authors to publish their ebook and their paperback. So you open your account, upload all these files, set the pricing for the different countries, set the keywords and the categories, and just hit the publish button. That's all you need to do. The ebook goes live in about 12 hours. For the paperback, you don't have to print books. This is another myth that authors have. They think that, oh my God, I need to allocate like $5,000 to print the books. You don't have to, because Amazon has their own print on demand option where you just upload the files and they would print it as and when you sell your books. So that's about it, Rose. So that's the simple process of having the book published.
Wow, that is, yeah, I've actually published a small ebook on there. So and I can verify that it is quite a simple process. My book's still on there, hasn't sold anything. I think my daughter bought a copy.
Yeah, the third phase is the marketing. We saw the writing and the publishing. The marketing is the most important part. Otherwise, there are thousands of books that are getting published on Amazon every day, and our books would just get lost if we don't pre-plan the marketing.
Absolutely. Yeah, I totally agree with that. It's yeah. It was just a disaster. I think I made 99 cents. But anyway.
Was your book about your business, Rose, or was it
No,
another?
sort of. It was about how to start off if you're a mum in business and, all the things that you need to do. But yeah, I'm going to redo it because I'm going to actually combine. I've written some, blogs, articles and things for other people. So I'm going to combine them all into one book. I think
Nice.
it'll make sense for, startup businesses. That's the plan anyway.
Right. And
Just
now that you
finding
have
the
this
time to do it.
fantastic podcast, I'm sure the listeners would be the perfect readers for your book.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay, great stuff. So I guess, you've gone through all the steps about publishing the book. Is it costly?
Well, it depends, Rose, because it depends on a couple of things. One is how much is an author willing to invest on this process? Now, when I was doing those ghostwritten books back in the day, I did not have a big budget and I did not have a big agenda or a long-term plan behind those books. So I would publish every book for less than $100 or $150. That's my whole budget. And I would get most of these things done on cheap websites like Fiverr and things like that. So that's pretty okay. But right now, if you're an entrepreneur and you're going to use your book as a tool to market your personal brand, then you want it to look really good. You don't want it to look like it's been put together over a weekend, right? So in that case, you need to invest in professional services. So at Happy Self Publishing, our publishing services start at $3,000 for a book that's about 30,000 words. So, and then depending on everything else that an author needs, like the bestseller promotions and all that, it just gets added on to that. But then that's roughly about the range that you should be willing to invest if you are able to see a business behind the book. Now, this is something I would like to touch upon. A lot of authors feel that I've published the book expecting my business to grow and it's not growing. And that's mainly because there is no connection between the business and the book. Now, the book is probably the first step in your author funnel. So this is a 4-step funnel that I recommend all the authors have. Right on top of the funnel is your book. A lot of people are going to discover your book on places like Amazon. But then after reading the book, your book may be great. But then if you don't have the other steps in place, they will literally forget about you. So the next thing that you need to have inside the book is your reader magnet, which is kind of a freebie. Like on our websites, we have lead magnets, right? Similarly, inside your book, you should give away a value add as a reader magnet so that the readers leave their name and emails. Why is this important? Because in Amazon, even if you sell 1 million copies, they're not going to tell you who your readers are. So as authors, you should be able to collect the leads that you're getting from your book. So give them a reader magnet. Now, once you have these people's emails, they should start following your work by entering your ecosystem. So that's where comes the free value level in your funnel, where you can give episodes of your podcast, you can give your YouTube videos, your blogs, any free content that you regularly create, that must be sent to your readers and they should start following your free content so that they can continue the conversation outside the book. That's very important. And now they are building more and more trust, right? And then comes the paid value level. So a lot of people just have one thing to sell, maybe a $10,000 coaching program, and they have nothing else to sell. What happens is not everybody will be willing to invest so much, and not everyone will have the trust to instantly pay such a high amount. So it's important to have something that's on a lower price point, like $97 or $497, something around that. It could be your online course, it could be a membership community, it could be a one VIP call with that client or something like that that's a little affordable. And that's your paid value level in your funnel. And once a few people sign up for that, you can then pitch your premium value, which is the final thing in your author funnel, which could be done for you services. It could be group coaching, something that's $1,000 or more. So many people do not have all these things in their funnel and they expect their book to sell 100 books a month to get back the ROI. But if you look at all of this together, and let's say you've only sold 100 books, but out of those 100 people, let's say 30 people start following you online, 10 people buy your online course, and 1 person becomes the client for your done for you services. By just selling those 100 books, you make the ROI on the entire book project. I think that's a better approach to look at book publishing cost.
Perfect. Love it. You're hired. Yeah, well, what words of advice would you have for budding authors?
My only thing that I would, my only piece of advice would be to not really wait for years to become an expert. Because the concept of being the number one expert is a myth. However experienced we are, there will always be people who are ahead of us, better than us, smarter than us. But I think our job as authors is to inspire and motivate people who are a few steps behind us. And there will always be people who are looking up to us. We do not realize it. A lot of times we beat ourselves up thinking we are not good enough. But at whatever level we are, if we have achieved success in any area of our life and gone from step A to step B, then we need to serve the people who are still on step A. So I think you can write a better book 5 years later, but by doing that, we are doing a disservice to all the people who could benefit us in the next 5 years. So please write your book right away. You can always write a better version later. If you self-publish it, you can always go back and add a chapter, delete whatever you don't like. You can always do all the
Absolutely.
improvisations, but whatever you know now, that's good enough for you to go and become an author.
Absolutely. I agree with that. So where can people find you?
Well, the best place to find us would be happyselfpublishing.com. So if you're ready with a manuscript, come over there. If you're not, then I have a free boot camp for you. It's a 5-day live boot camp that happens inside our Facebook group. So you can head over to happyselfpublishing.com/tribe. You can go check out our tribe, which is called Happy Authors Tribe. Be a part of it and join the next boot camp to get started with your book.
Oh, okay. I might do that. Good. Thank you.
Sure, I would love to have you, Rose.
Thank you so much for joining me. You've given so much information, and yeah, it was such a pleasure to speak with you.
It was amazing to be on your show, Rose, and such great questions. Thank you for having me.
All right, we'll talk soon. Bye for now.
Bye-bye.
Talking with the experts.